Times that we've cried in video games. So I'm going to start off. One time I cried at a game was in The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. There's a side quest. And this is very dark. In this side quest, I don't know exactly what happens, but pretty much there's a little girl character whose bigger sister is caring for her. And the moon is going to crash and kill everybody. And they're going to give her a milk, which is basically an allegory for alcohol. They're going to give the little girl this milk so that she'll fall asleep when the moon comes and crashes and kills everybody. So they're basically going to drug her so that she doesn't see everybody and everything around her that she's ever loved and cared about and seen destroyed in a fiery blaze of death. And I can't think of many things more horrifying and depressing than that. That's just a very depressing thing. So yeah, you can go ahead with a time that you've cried in a video game.
Sure. I think I'm probably gonna have a lot less than you are, honestly, because I think there's only 3 times I can remember ever crying at a game. So I don't know if I guess I'll just go through my list, and then when I run out of them, you can just finish up with yours. So the first one, and probably the hardest I cried at a game, was the Mother 3 ending. Jesus Christ. If anyone in the audience has played that game or just knows what happens, you'll understand why I was sobbing when I finished that game. The ending is very, very sad. The entire game is very, very sad, but the ending in particular is very sad. I can spoil it. It's an old game.
Well.
Basically,
You want me to play it, right?
Oh, that's true. You haven't played it, so yeah, I won't say anything. But it's very very messed up, very sad. There's a twinge of like hope and optimism to it, but it's left so vague that I don't know if you can necessarily use that as evidence that everything turned out okay. So yeah, I think if you've played the game or you know what happens, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll probably agree with me. If you don't, you should play the game because it's amazing. Emulate it because Nintendo will never ever release it on Virtual Console or anything like that. Please play it. Very good, very sad. Many cry, me tear. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm just so people in the comments don't get furious with me again. I don't hate Nintendo, okay? I hate some of the things they do, so please. Alright, so another time that I cried in a game was when, and this is kind of a spoiler, when Reggie died in Infamous Second Son. Now, this was a very, very sad turn of events. I did not expect it to happen at all. And in a game, so I liked Infamous Second Son, but there were a lot of problems. For example, the combat could have really benefited from a cover system. But a lot of the problems I have are not anything to do with the story. I thought the story, while pretty basic, was pretty interesting and pulled off in a good way. And the best part of the whole thing was Reggie's death and the subsequent decision of whether to kill or spare, what was his name, Hank? Yeah, Hank. Because Hank has a daughter, and you can decide to get revenge and kill him, or you can spare him, and he can go see his daughter again. And it's a really sad, it's not just one scene, that whole thing where he dies, you have the emotional fight with Augustine, you decide whether or not to kill a father, and then you fight Augustine again and end the game. It's just a very well done scene, and it just made me very sad, and it made me cry a little bit. So yeah, you can go with your next one.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good pick, honestly. So my next pick is going to be the Undertale Pacifist ending. I don't know if you're going to play Undertale again.
I will probably, but I'm probably not going to do one of the runs because they just seem a little bit too cumbersome for me.
I mean, it takes like 4 hours, but I mean, if you're fine with me spoiling it, then
Yeah,
I can
you can go
spoil it.
ahead. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, so basically, the main differences between the pacifist and the neutral ending is that you do more stuff. So you go around, you talk to all the characters, you have like a little mini game thing with them where you basically become friends with them, um, and then once you do that with every character, when you get to the end of the game, a different final boss happens. So normally you'd get to Asgore, you'd fight him, and then you fight Flowey, but like the really creepy Photoshop version of Flowey. Well, instead, you go to fight Asgore, you don't fight Asgore, and all your friends come running in, and it's this great, like, oh, look at all these relationships I've made type meme. And then Flowey attacks you again, but this time he reveals his true form, and you have to fight his true form. And that fight is amazing. It has just a great song to go behind it. Just an amazing, like, almost rock opera-esque song. Super epic. The fight itself is challenging, but like visually interesting too. And you can't technically lose, but it's still hard because you have to like beat it. And then the ending itself, when you're talking to Azrael, who is Flowey, he's like apologizing to you. He's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like hurt you and try to take away all of your friends and all this stuff. It's just a very touching moment where this person who you assume to be pure evil kind of reveals their inner demons and recognizes what they've done wrong and genuinely apologizes and changes for the better. And it's just an overall, I think it's a great message, not just for games, but for life in general. You know, people can be rehabilitated. People can recognize the mistakes that they've made or the bad things that they've done and come around. It's just the only way to get them to do that is to show them the same kindness that you hope they'll show to others. And I think that's a great message.
Yeah. Okay. Well, for your information, I took my headphones off because I actually didn't want to be spoiled, but you also got to tell the audience, so I still haven't spoiled. So there you go. I realized I maybe didn't want that spoiled because I actually might do that. But yeah. Okay. So next up, I have my first thing from Undertale, my only thing from Undertale on here. Death of the Cow Lady. I don't know her name. The Cow Lady.
Toriel.
Toriel? Yeah, okay, Toriel. The Death of Toriel.
Did you kill her in your playthrough?
Yeah.
Why?
Wait, you cannot kill her?
Yes.
Oh, I did not know that. I had no idea.
Why would you kill Toriel? Oh my god.
I didn't know you couldn't. But that made me really sad. I thought you had to kill her. And that was really sad. Okay. I didn't.
Even if you fight her, like, even if you don't do the, like, spare over and over again, even if you fight her before she dies, you have the option to spare her.
Oh. Okay. What? I didn't know. Because you hit her, and then it does all of a sudden does way more damage than you're expecting, and she dies.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah. No, that's fair.
So I didn't know. I was coming into it completely fresh. But yeah, that made me really sad. And since you only have one other one, I'm just going to throw in another one real quick. The death of Aunt May in Spider-Man PS4 was also really sad. Mostly because of how throughout the game, Peter basically loses everything. He loses Doc Ock, who's kind of like his father figure, and then he loses Aunt May, who's his maternal figure. So he basically loses everything he has that inspires him and keeps him going. And in the end, it's just a really heartbreaking scene, because right after you have the emotional final conversation with Octavius, you have to go and watch him do that. And on top of that, he has to make the decision to either save her or save the city, which is perfect for a Spider-Man game. That's like the perfect kind of decision for him to have to make, and it adds a lot of emotional weight to it. It's just amazing, and it's really sad, and it made me cry really hard. So yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that choice, and we've seen it in Spider-Man before, but it is a very effective arc for that character because that's sort of the main themes of him, right? Is he's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but is he actually willing to throw away who he loves and cares about to be that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? You know, great power comes great responsibility, Uncle Ben. Okay, so my final one, I don't know if this would still apply today. I haven't played this game in a really long time. I do own it. However, I do not have a method through which to play it right now, so hopefully I'll be able to do that soon because it's amazing. But it's going to be the Mario Galaxy ending, the first Mario Galaxy ending. When I was a kid and I first played Mario Galaxy, you know, I'm out here with my Wii and I'm chilling in the basement. I'm having a great time, you know, playing as Mario. I get to the final level and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna beat Bowser. I'm gonna beat him up. And then you do. And then every single Luma, these cute little star babies who I love, they all they kill themselves to save the universe. They stop a black hole, which is pretty sick on its own. But it's just this sad, like really sad ending where, you know, Mario's like floating through space and he can hear these like baby cries, and Rosalina ends up explaining that, like, even though all the Lumas died to save the universe, they're going to be reborn. So it's technically okay, but it's still just like really sad and pretty macabre for a Mario game, honestly.
That's probably the saddest thing that's ever been in a Mario game.
I'm sorry?
Of the things I can think of, that's probably the saddest thing to ever be in a Mario game.
Yeah, probably, honestly.
I think so, yeah. Yeah. That's probably it. Okay, so now that you've named all three of yours, I have four others that I'm just going to go through real quick. So number 4 is Zlatko and Stormy Knight in Detroit Become Human. Both are Kara chapters. Stormy Knight is my favorite, and Zlatko is my second favorite. Stormy Knight is the one where the little girl's father beats her, and then you have to, at least in the ending I got, you end up fighting him, and then you kill her father, and then you have to run off and save her. So, you know, just a normal, everyday occurrence. But yeah, it's a pretty insane chapter. The way that they build up to him just completely snapping is very scary and intimidating and emotional. And in Zlatko, it's kind of like similar, where you trust him, but then he ends up trying to wipe your memory, which is the sad. Like, honestly, if I could think of I can't think of a thing more sad than your memory being wiped and you not being able to remember the people that you love. That is probably one of the saddest things I can possibly imagine, and that's what you have to prevent happening as the player. And then you have a tense fight where you're dodging his shotgun blasts. You have to hide around the house from him as he's chasing you. And then, if you do it correctly, you can bring all the machines that he tortured from his basement up, and then they'll attack and kill him. And both of these chapters are so good, and they do such a good job of your choices impacting it. You know, with the best ending being super satisfying to pull off and just kill those two disgusting people. You know, I like to see that. So then my number 3 is also a Quantic Dream game, and it's not Heavy Rain. It's an actually good game. It's Beyond Two Souls. And the reason this is on my list is because of the ending, in which Aiden, the magical entity who's been with you the whole time, vanishes. And there's one quote that really sticks out to me that Jody says. Jody's the main character. And Jody basically says, yeah, for years I wanted him to go away. I never wanted to be linked with this entity anymore. I felt that it ruined my life. And now that he's gone, I want nothing more than for him to be back. Which is just so touching, especially with the whole theme of family, and how a lot of people feel about their family and friends. It's just so, it's really sad, and it's great. It's just great, because Jodie loses everything, including Aiden. And then at the end, you can choose to be happy. Now, I've only seen one ending, and I'm sure the others might be even more sad or even more satisfying, but the one I got was very satisfying and very sad, and it was just so well done within the themes of the game. Now, that game is nowhere near perfect, but that ending alone makes me question why a lot of people think it's the worst Quantic Dream game ever, or why it's just like a terrible game. Because it is, it's pretty good, and that ending is amazing. And so then number 2 is Last of Us 1 and 2 endings. Do I really need to explain myself? Last of Us 2 specifically, with the conversation between Ellie and Joel, is incredibly sad. And Last of Us 1, the conversation between Ellie and Joel, didn't make me cry necessarily, but it left me with this crazy feeling, like just an empty feeling, like, oh god, what did I just see? And then number 1 is the ending of Last Guardian, which is probably one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen in my entire life. I cried so hard for so long. Yeah, that's the saddest thing that I've ever seen in any game. Alright, so now that we've done times we've cried in games, and our favorite video game characters, it's time for us to discuss which we prefer. Spider-Man by Insomniac, or Batman Arkham by, who made those games? Rocksteady.